It might be loud. And what's going on, everybody? This is Travis with the Spoon from Carter Cow Capital, helping you fight for your financial freedom throughout the forex market. This is another live episode of Trade with Travis. We are at this point now where I'm pretty much going to end up doing this most mornings and trying to get everything go situated. The market has opened up. It has started moving at this particular point. Currently, right now, I'm up a few different trades, and I'm seeing that the market is showing a little bit of consolidation in certain pairs and starting to break out in other pairs. So super excited to be able to see what we could be able to do for being able to make some money today. Gonna end up taking a little bit of time to be able to take a look at some charts, take a look at what y'all have, go through it very quickly, and then after that, kind of move forward. That includes some of the pairs that I'm actually in at this particular point, and then talk about what we do from an automation system perspective. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not a CTA, so I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or to sell. What I'm going to do is teach you education, and from the education, you can be able to make your own informed decision. Now, understanding forex trading involves risk. It involves risk of being able to make money. Also involves risk of being able to lose money. So please keep that in mind. And understand that past performance is not indicative of future results, which means that if you end up making money yesterday, it's not promised that you can end up making money today. With that being said, I am in DAX, which is German 40 for the people that end up trading indices. I'm actually in this pair currently, like right now. And it's starting to go away from me. So I'm going to start off with that pair first, and then after that, we're going to take a look at everything else. For the people that are online that want to be able to have a pair that they want to be able to take a look at, I will take a look at those as well. Want to make sure I end up saying hey to everybody. So if you end up popping in, make sure that you end up saying where you're coming from. It's always good to be able to talk to each and every person. But I'm going to take a look at DAX real quick and see where we're at. So here we go. German 40 currently right now. I am up. Well, I was up almost $900. Now I'm looking at the automation system. I'm seeing that I'm only up 710, and I might just go ahead and cancel this before I end up doing it because I'm seeing a strong wick. All right. Let's see. So from a weekly perspective, what's happening is that this market is bearish. Is starting. Well, in my mind, we see that the market is bearish. I see that it's actually starting to retrace a little bit from the stochastic perspective and everything else like that. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this trade. I'm not going to waste go ahead and not waste any time on that. All right. I'm going to talk about what I did and why I got out. Let's do that instead of just giving away money. There's no reason to give away money. So from a weekly perspective, what's happening right now is this market is in the sell zone from the stochastic, but what ended up happening was it actually ended up falling. From that fall, the market has basically started to retrace. I'm talking about the right side of my screen right now at this particular point. Now, from there, what I'm looking at is this. Obviously, we have mixed kind of signals on what's been happening. From a weekly perspective, the market is in a downtrend. From the daily perspective, the market has been retracing, and it has been retracing for about a couple weeks now. Taking a look at it from a daily perspective, we're seeing that the market is getting close to the sell zone, or actually is in the sell zone, which means that this retracement that we end up having on this side, I believe we're probably going to end up seeing a little bit of a drop. And if that's going to end up being the case, and I think it will be a major one that may end up happening for the time being. But currently, if we're looking at it, there goes your inner trend line. Here's your outer trend line. The market is cutting the trend line at this particular point. The rules has always been if the market breaks a inner trend line, it will gravitate towards a outer trend line, which means that if this market holds and closes today, I do expect that this market will end up falling and keep on going to this outer trend line. And then after that, making a decision on if it's going to pop up or continue to move to the downside overall. Now, with that being said, I am bearish on this one when it comes down to movement. My thought process is bearish. Let me tell you why I'm thinking that. If we take a look at what's happening with the stochastic, with the long-term trend line, the 50-day moving average is in the sell zone. We look at the filters and everything else like that from all of the EMAs, you see that it's bearish. Take a look at the Don chain, you can see that it's bearish. You can see that you have a counter trend line break that's actually going bearish. You look at the overall market, you can say that the market is overall bearish, and we're getting into the summer months as well. So everything is going to start to slow down a little bit. So if you have not gotten to this trade, in which I literally just took profit on the first portion of this trade just a second ago, and I may look to be able to get into it again. Um, this is where we're at. Currently, I'm going to start off with the 2 hour on this side. Um, from a 2 hour perspective, we can see that the market was in the sell zone. We finally ended up breaking the counter trend line break to the downside. Let me actually clean up these candlesticks real quick because I don't want to break a wick. Let's see. And once again, while I'm doing this, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to be able to ask. Um, so if I'm looking at it from this perspective, matter of fact, it is bouncing off of the trend line as we speak. It has not broken fully, and it's broken inside of the buy zone. For me, as a person that's looking at being able to sell on this actual position, um, this is a area where I don't know what's going to end up happening for me, and because of that, I end up taking profit. I end up getting in on this sale at I end up getting in on the sale at 14,493. Currently, right now, the market's at 14,414, and it's starting to bounce up just a little bit. It went as low as the lowest portion of this one was at 14,396. So from this standpoint, if I'm looking at being able to sell it, this is not a great area to be able to sell. What I end up getting out of the market, I think I feel good about getting out of the market at least for right now. But I would pay attention to what's going to end up happening off the 15 minute. For people that like to be able to scout, and if you can be able to find a reason to be able to get into it, this may be one of those areas that you may want to look at being able to possibly scout. But you're kind of going against the long-term trend if you end up making that decision. Um, for me, I'm just going to wait for a high price to be able to sell. With the market being in the buy zone on the with the market being in the buy zone on the 15 minute, that means that we're probably going to end up seeing an hour at least when it comes down to retracement. Once we end up getting that hour of retracement, then after that, I'll look at being able to get back in. This is the way that I'll look at being able to get back in. It'll be more of a counter trend line break to the upside. Once it ends up getting into the sell zone, then after that, I'll look at being able to trade it back down. The point of control is at 1442, so I would look at being able to sell it when it comes down to that. There's high liquidity in a reversal on that trend liquidity. If we need to sell, I guess we'll wait for a break of the retest for the sale. Yes, exactly. Pretty much exactly what I'm thinking. Just waiting for the market to be able to give me a high price before selling again. But just took profit today. Currently right now I'm up $890 off of that move today and up 10% over the course of the week. So feel pretty good when it comes down to that. So I'm going to get off of that one because there's really nothing else to be able to take a look at that one for, at least right now. Let's go into, since we're already looking at indexes, let's go ahead and take a look at US 30 real quick and see what's happening with US 30. Anybody in US 30 on this one? Anybody in it in US 30 for the people that are watching live? Or is there a pair that you're in that you would like to be able to take a look at? Okay, so let me take this trend filter off because sometimes I can be able to hide this real quick. I'm going to hide that real quick as well. All right, so from a weekly perspective, Dow Jones is on its second phase of being able to move to the downside. Ultimately, where I think the market is going to end up going from a weekly perspective, it may not be right now, but I think it's probably going to end up happening over the course of the next few weeks. Well, not 3 weeks, over the course of the end of this year. Let's just kind of say it when it comes down to that standpoint. I believe that the market could fall down to 27,400. 27,400 is the weekly the extension from this move. Also, it is the last area where we end up having like a strong support before we end up having that strong push in the early 2020. So, with that being said, if I am going to move with that mindset of this market being bearish, then what I'm going to end up paying attention to is being able to see if we can be able to catch its high prices in the sell zone. Okay, so if we take a look at this from a daily perspective, obviously we can clearly see that the Dow chain is bearish. We can clearly see that these trend meters are basically bullish, and that's going based off of the retracement of what we end up having last week from this overall movement. If people end up catching the buy trades of that move last week, it was just nothing more than a retracement from the few weeks of downside movement. Because of that, we're starting to see a little bit of consolidation. Now, there's a couple of reasons why we're seeing consolidation in general. First one is because it's starting to get to the summertime. What's so important about the summertime is that typically from October to May, the market really starts making a big rally type of a move, right? You end up having a clear direction about what's happening with the overall move. You end up getting a lot of range and a lot of liquidity inside of the market, and because of that, you can start to see these big, massive swings. But also in that case, when the market gets into June, July, August, September, October, early portions of October, the market actually starts to slow down a little bit. And then after that, you start getting like that trend move and then consolidation, trend move and then consolidation. It kind of shows itself to be able to play out that way. And that's kind of like what I'm looking at right here. I'm seeing this downward channel. Um, so the daily's in the sell zone, but it's not at the top of the channel. That's not necessarily too bad of an issue. But I do see that this market is starting to consolidate a little bit. Let me see if I can remove drawings and remove the indicators real quick. Start to see that we're getting a little bit of this flag pattern right here, which is this right here. And from there, I would say this is the first consolidation of the summer. And being able to pay attention to it and seeing how this market's going to end up moving. Until this market actually ends up truly breaking out of this position, I'm not going to end up taking a position on US 30. And the same thing is kind of happening with Nas as well when it comes down to movement. We're just trying to see what's going to end up happening with this overall movement overall. Is it going to break to the upside? Is it going to end up breaking to the downside? Because it is consolidation, I just wait and I just wait until it actually ends up giving me a move in either one of these directions. Then after that, I just trade the breakout after it ends up giving a retest for us being able to make a move. So my game plan in the future for this move will end up being this. Let it break out. If it breaks out to the upside, and then after that retest is, then I look at being able to buy the retest and then take it back up to a volume area where I think that the point where I think that sellers are going to allow us to be able to get up to if it goes to the upside. If it breaks to the downside and pushes, it will break to the downside, and then after that, I just trade it based off of Fibonacci's, and just kind of go from there. So to the upside, I'm probably going to look at 2-hour Fibonacci's. To the downside, I'm going to look at daily and weekly Fibonacci's because I still believe that the market is bearish. That makes sense. Type in a wire, yes, but currently right now, there's nothing to be able to do off of US 30 on this particular move. Okay, let's see. See if I can undo this and be able to get all my stuff back. But I do, there we go. I am going to draw that flag though. Okay, US 30, I'm not going to end up doing anything with. We will take a look at some Forex pairs. We'll take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin. We'll take a look at what's happening with Ethereum. If there's any other pairs that anybody would like to be able to take a look at, then we'll go from there. Let's see. Exactly my thought though. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. Let's go. Nas 100. Nas 100 typically shows some of the same signs that US 30 does, um, but just got to confirm it. The only difference between Nas and US 30 at this particular point is that Nas ended up hitting the daily D extension and US 30 did not. Uh, and I'm going to end up showing that on the chart as well, just so everybody can be able to take a look at it. But from a down perspective, it did not complete a D extension, which means to me that it still has room to ultimately be able to fall, but and actually complete a move and then kind of go from there. All right, so here we go. Nas 100 from a weekly perspective. Don Chain is saying that it's negative. Obviously, trend meter is kind of mixed, but it is saying sell. We look at what ended up happening. This weekly move, here goes your A, there goes your B, here goes your C. The D extension is expected to be at 10,760. Has not completed that D extension yet for its retracement. So I still think that it has some type of movement to the downside that it's going to end up having to complete until actually completing that daily D extension and actually falling down to the support. But kind of like what ended up happening last week, the market ended up falling down to a daily D extension, and then after that started to pop back up to the upside. So it happens like that. We're just looking at a retracement when it comes down to this move, which means to me I'm looking for a high price to be able to sell. We go to the daily. What do we see? We see that the market is in the sell zone. I said early at the beginning of the week that I felt like this market had to go up before actually falling down because we wasn't in the sell zone at that particular point. We are in the sell zone now. So I am kind of interested to be able to see what's going to end up happening. The only thing that I just don't like is that there's really no confirmation of being able to get in as of yet. It goes a outer trend line, at least from that point, from a short-term perspective. The market is kind of parabolic from that position. So it's still saying that it's going toward the upside. So last week or Sunday when we ended up taking a look at this, we took a look at this 2-hour field that was actually working at this particular point, to see where the market could potentially go before looking at being able to sell and seeing if we can be able to scalp it if we wanted to. So there goes your A, there goes your B. Market fell all the way down to the 618, and the D extension is expected to be at 13,267 from a 2 hour perspective off of retracement if that does happen. So currently, right now, what I'm waiting on is this market going to end up breaking past 12,869? If it breaks past 12,869 with a little bit of a push, then I would look at personally being able to scalp up to 13,268, which will be a R3 trade. Um, and the only reason why I'm only doing it that way is because I feel like, if it does break past all this fluff and this little bit of consolidation that we have for that overall pricing as well, then you'll probably end up getting a quick and easy breakout and a quick and easy win from that position. Yeah, it may only be 400 points, but 400 points with not a lot of people fighting against you is actually a very good trade to be able to get into. So until it actually ends up, if it's going to prove to be bullish and it's a scalping type of move, then it has to prove that it has to break past 12,869 for me first before me getting into it for the buy. If not, then what I'm just going to do is just wait until the market gives me a true counter trend line break for a sale, and then just sell it that way, because I still think that over the summertime that this market is going to end up being ultimately bearish. So on Nas 100, once again, there's nothing to be able to do unless you have an automation system that is looking to be able to scalp. Fortunately, obviously, I do. And we look at what's happening for this overall position. Move this out the way. Um, all we're seeing is this consolidation box is actually showing up, and it's breaking out of consolidation right now. And as long as it stays out of consolidation, then we finally have a move to where we can be able to see if this market is going to break out of resistance one and keep on moving up. So until then, just like with me trading it, and just like how my automation system will end up trading it, there's nothing to do right here. It has to break out first before actually being able to make a trade. All right, so there we go. Getting away from that one. XPX 500. We might as well go with the whole gamut and take a look at all of them right now. XPX 500, what I'm seeing is that same consolidation. Once again, does not surprise me because we're getting closer and closer to summer styles of trading. I can easily see right here that we have that consolidation right there. But still going to go through it. We'll take a look at it real quick. If you have a pair that you would like to be able to take a look at, Forex, stocks, cryptocurrency, anything else like that, please go ahead and place it in the live chat, and I'll go ahead and talk about it. Um, if not, then I just keep on rolling the way that I typically do. All right, so weekly from XPX 500, market ended up completing the D extension at 38.59. Since then, the market has retraced. It retraced up to the 382 at a new field, which means that the market is considered to be healthy, but it's not in a sweet spot area to be able to get in for its being able to sell. So it doesn't surprise me one bit that this market is starting to consolidate a little bit, because ultimately, do I think that there's going to be a lot of buyers in the market right now at this particular point in time? Not necessarily. Um, but if the market does go up and we try to look at a long-term sale, I would like the market to be able to get up to the sweet spot, which would be right around the 618, 786, and 86, which would be right around 43.32, 44.60, and what is that? What's that last one? 45.20. So anywhere around there, there'll be an area where I would like to be able to sell. Currently, right now, this market is in a R5 zone. R5 zone for me is a no trade area. After the market ends up breaking the 382 for the retracement, you had a little bit of a chance to be able to buy it up to the 382 based off of the retracement. From there, all I'm looking for is being able to find a spot to where I can be able to make money off of. All I'm looking for now is a spot to be able to get in and be able to sell at this particular point, because once again, my thought process is the market's going to fall. And if I can be able to get it at a high price, then that means I can be able to get more value. So right now, there's nothing to be able to see when it comes down to that from that standpoint. From a daily perspective, obviously we can see that this market is moving. It broke a counter trend line break, but it also is showing a little bit of consolidation. The reason why we're seeing a little bit of consolidation is a mix of a few different things. One, I think the market is starting to slow down. Two, this is the second week out of the month, and typically the second week out of the month is a trader's week. So we don't have really a lot of foundational or fundamental news that is affecting the market to be able to move in a direction. And currently, right now, people just don't know what's going to end up happening. So because it is in consolidation right here, we can stop on this chart and go ahead and move forward and be able to find another opportunity. Let's go through the big three real quick and have to let me know what we need to do with forex-based pairs. Um, is anybody in here still in gold based off of the last time that we looked at it? Anybody in here still in gold based off of the last time that we looked at it? Let's see. Okay. I'm going to take that as a no. Let's see. And let me do this real quick. I need to make sure that everyone else can be able to see it. Give me one quick second, everybody. Okay. So, gold, what is happening? Gold's a good correlation with the Japanese yen. You see that the market is in the buy zone. That means to me, when the market's in the buy zone, you got you got 7 to 11 candles of overall bullish movement that I think is about to happen. What does that mean from a weekly perspective? That means to me that we're probably looking at right around, right around 2 months to right around 3 months of overall movement in one direction. This direction that I think is going to end up happening, I think is going to end up happening to the upside. But currently, right now, um, if we look at it, the market fell down to a sweet spot area, which was the 786, broke the counter trend line break to the upside. And when it broke the counter trend line break to the upside, you remember once the market moves to breaks the inner trend line, it will gravitate toward the outer. Currently, right now, the market is actually kind of losing a little bit of steam for its overall movement. So I am kind of curious to see what's going to end up happening for this movement. But I did get into a buy. Got into a buy, placed my stop loss below 1721. And currently, right now, I expect that gold is going to go up to 2164 for a long term move. That's my thought process on what I think is going to end up happening ultimately from a long term perspective. But we're seeing that consolidation again as well. So, because I have a long term trade in, this is one of those positions to where I'm going to scalp it when I can, but I'm going to keep my long position in, and I'm just going to. I have my stop loss in. It's a long term trade. I feel very comfortable about it. I'm just going to let it ride, and then every other trade that I have based off of that will end up making me money. Hopefully, uh, in the midst of being able to see what's happening with this pair. But currently, if you look at this overall movement, the market's in the middle of a small consolidation area. There goes your support. Here goes your resistance. There goes your resistance. Here goes your support. Currently, right now, it's in the middle of that no trade area. Because it is in the middle of that no trade area, you can do two different things. One, you can wait for the market to be able to hit support or wait for resistance. Or if you're in the middle, you could hedge it, but I'm not interested in hedging gold trades. I'm in a buy trade that just this to me just means that I just got to wait a little bit longer for it's being able to get in. For everyone else, we're taking a look at this for as an overall trade and trying to figure out what you should do. Currently, right now, I would not do anything until it actually ends up making a decision on what direction it's going to end up going. So, save yourself some money, save yourself a little bit of stress, and you don't have to get into this overall pair as of yet. That means to me also when you're looking at the Japanese yen is probably going to be in consolidation as well. Take a look at the United States dollar index. So, United States dollar index, what have we been looking to be able to do? Um, I feel like this market is expected to be able to fall. Um, get all this stuff out of the way. So, you got to keep on hearing me say the same things over and over again for people that are relatively new. For the people that have been in these sessions, you're probably going to hear this over and over again. But from a weekly perspective, completed the D extension at 12,661. From there, market ended up making a fractal high at 12,867, and then after that broke a counter trend line break broke the inner counter trend line break and started gravitating toward the outer. Remember, once it gravitates toward the outer, then after that it starts making a decision, or that's what a decision area is going to end up being at. Typically, what happens is that the market will end up pushing up to a previous high or a previous resistance, and then after that, breaking to the downside. This is basically making like a head and shoulders pattern for people that are paying attention to it a little bit more. Not a crown because it hasn't broken A, but is a head and shoulders pattern. So when you take a look at it from a daily perspective, well, actually, I'm sorry, it is a crown because it did break a uptrend A. But if we take a look at this position, um, I've been saying for about a week and a half now that I do expect that the market is going to end up pushing up towards these overall past resistance levels at 12,750 to 762 area, and then after that, I will look at being able to sell. I've just been patient and I haven't done anything with it until this market actually ends up hitting this level. Now we're getting closer to the sell zone, and we're seeing that is starting to play out the way that I expected that it was going to end up playing out. Now the ultimate move is that we just got to wait for this market to be able to keep on moving up, and once it gives us a good high price to be able to get in the sell zone, now we have an opportunity of being able to trade it. Okay, so currently right now, the only thing that I'm looking for is I just want to see this market keep on pushing up and just gravitate up towards this area. Once it ends up reaching a high point and it starts to give an exhaust candlestick or anything else like that, with a counter trend line break move or anything else, then after that I'll look at being able to sell. And from that sale, I'm going to take it all the way down to at least the 382 is take profit one, a 12,564, and then after that, I would possibly try to get it all the way down to the um, I'll possibly try to get it all the way down to 12,373 if I can. But after I end up hitting that first point, then the rest of it, I just kind of leave and kind of stay away from. So currently, right now, new fields end up coming in good. Um, the 382 is at 12,531. I would look at being given a break it, take it down to 12,531 from that point. Right now, there's really nothing to be able to do. But U.S. based pairs, so you look at the U.S. based pairs, I believe that the market's going to be bullish. So if you are trading like anything with a U.S. base pair, um, I would scalp it, but I would scalp it with the mindset of being able to buy based off of looking at what's happening with the United States dollar index. All right, last one. Let's take a look at oil. Oil, I have been bullish from a weekly perspective. Market got out of consolidation, I believe, like 2 weeks ago. Um, the market is pushing up to the D extension, which is at 171.23. Currently, right now, the market is at 119. You look at it from a daily perspective, the market gave us three opportunities to be able to get in. One, it gave us a move based off of that triangle that we talked about a couple weeks ago. If you end up getting in off of the triangle, then you should still be in. I think you end up getting in right around 110. The second one was that from the consolidation, remember, anytime that there's a breakout, then it will end up being a retest. If you end up catching the retest based off of this counter trend line break right here, then you should be in as well based off of that. Now, the stochastic is not going to do you any favors. And let me explain why the stochastic is not going to do you any favors. Because the market has went through a consolidation phase. Then what that means to me is what typically happens is that the stochastic doesn't matter inside of consolidation. It doesn't matter at all because it's going to be skewed. So the next time that you end up getting a proper symbol or proper signal, whether if it's in the buy zone or the sell zone, will be a very good signal to be able to look at. Until then, there's nothing to be able to do for taking a look at the stochastic. But you had a breakout, and based off of that breakout, all we got to do is just take a look at sub fibs and see if we can be able to get in. I'm going to take a look at the 2 hour to be able to see where's the last sub fib to be able to get in based off of that, and then kind of go from there. So here is your last fractal from here. Currently, right now, we're in an R3 zone of that movement. The market fell down to the 5.0 level, and the sub fields will take you up to 128. So if you're just looking at being able to scalp oil, if you possibly can, what I would do is I'll wait for the market to get back into the buy zone, look for another counter trend line break from that, and then after that, Once you end up getting that counter trend line break in the buy zone, then I'll look at buying it up to 128, placing my stop loss just below the lowest swing low, which was I'm sorry, the lowest swing low below the B, because the market is above the B. You can either place it below this candlestick, which was at 120. You could place it below 120. I'm sorry, the low price. 117. You can place it just below 117, or you can place it just below this candlestick right here, which would be at 115, based off of your equity management, and kind of going from there. So, game plan on this one, when it comes down to oil, very simple. Probably going to have to wait for the rest of the day to see how this market kind of moves. It gives you a low price and the counter trend line break. Once you get that, if it breaks to the upside, you have a little bit of movement. I will ride it up from there. But until then, there's really nothing to do on oil as well. Kind of striking out a little bit. Let's talk about. Let's see. I've pretty much done talked about every other pair that I take a look at. Let's see. Nas has popped up since the last hour. We already talked about Nas. We kind of go from there. All right, so couple things. One, if you are interested in being able to learn about my automation systems and everything else like that, if you'd like to be able to take a look at my portfolio, this is what I end up having on my FX book. This is what my FX Striker automation systems. We talk about that. We talk about that a lot. I trade manually, obviously here to be able to help people when it comes down to being able to trade, gain education, do everything else like that. But I also end up building automation systems to be able to help people, or to be able to help myself and help others be able to make money when you're not able to do this. Obviously, I'm a school teacher by trade, and I'm a trader. Hopefully 100% full time in the next few years, for being able to do that. But I have to have automation systems to be able to trade when I'm actually inside of the classroom. We done went through pretty much all of these. I got to update these numbers, but pretty much done went through all of these and being able to show what's actually going on. If you're interested in being able to learn a little bit more about that and see how they actually end up working, go to cartercalcapital.com/start here. And it will take you to this website to where you can be able to place in your information to be able to hop into one of our free webinars. We have bootcamp classes starting up this upcoming Monday for people that are interested in being able to trade the way that we end up trading, and also go through live trading sessions with me. All you have to do is just place in your email address, first name, last name, phone number, and be able to go from there to be able to so I can be able to personally contact you to be able to set up a time that'll work for your convenience. So all you got to do is go to that website link and be able to click that in. Currently, right now, there's nothing to be able to do for us overall trading, and no one inside of the chat box had a pair that they would like to be able to take a look at least for today. So when we do this again tomorrow, hopefully everyone else will end up showing back up and bringing somebody else back in. And then after that, we can obviously build a community a little bit more. Super excited to be able to talk to everybody about overall trading opportunities. This month we've been killing it. Over the course of the last 3 months, we've been killing it. We're just trying to get ready for the summer months, because I know the market's going to slow down. So we have to change our mindset a little bit on how we're going to end up trading. But like always, make sure that you end up planning your trade, trading your plan. Everyone, I see each and every one of y'all tomorrow at around 9 o'clock, and we'll start it all over again. Take it easy.